many a fortnight ago when I was but a small male child between the age of 3 and 12, making my residence in a small, empty cardboard container normally used for the storage of varying objects located directly beneath the stairwell separating the upper and lower floors of the structural location in the space between two converging lines or surfaces near their intersection signifying a right angle of 90 degrees in the lowest floor of a building or residence located approximately 4 miles from the dive bar Chris and Jerry's Bait Shop located in scenic Kansas City, Kansas, the United States at -94.74111823 degrees latitude and -38.96109338 degrees longitude. You are already well acquainted with the location to which I am referring. Returning to the topic at hand, in the olden time to which I am referring, the current status of my life up to that point had been unfolding in an agreeable manner and all facets of my state of being and then currently occurring events and activities was exceedingly delightful. With, of course, the singular outlier being the irrefutably true statement of knowledge that my maternal parental figure whose womb I resided in before being bloodily extracted out of her loins 9 months later would consistently prepare a dish consisting only of finely cut cabbage plants seasoned and flavored with sodium chloride and fermented until sour and contained within a deep round basin used for the storing of edibles and serve it to me at a consistent interval between 6 a.m. and 11:59 a.m. each day of the standard American work week. Finely cut cabbage plants seasoned and flavored with sodium chloride and fermented until sour and contained within a deep round basin used for the storing of edibles. At a consistent interval between 6 a.m. and 11:59 a.m. each day of the standard American work week. The repetition of this dietary activity had severely impacted my mental state for the worse. I conveyed to my aforementioned maternal parental figure maternal parental figure who had birthed and nursed me for the entirety of my natural life thus far. I am pondering as to why you have willfully chosen to nourish me with a diet consisting solely of great quantities of finely cut cabbage plants seasoned and flavored with sodium chloride and fermented until sour. To which my dearly beloved and compassionate matriarch proceeded to focus her vision on me, not unlike that of a female bovine directing their focus to the presence of a locomotive transport vehicle powered by either steam or electricity that is rapidly approaching at deathly high speeds. She inclined downwards from a vertical position so as to communicate with me at face level, slightly invading my personal space, and confided to me this sacred wisdom. The finely cut cabbage plants seasoned and flavored with sodium chloride and fermented until sour that you have besmirched and doubted provides untold health benefits and nourishment that will keep your body in peak physical condition, allowing you to live many, many years due to the nutrients and vitamin C and K that the aforementioned finely sliced vegetable has provided to your internal organs. My mother then proceeded to forcibly constrain me using several meters of roped cord to the permanent upright construction having a length much greater than the thickness and presenting a continuous surface that supported the roof above our humble abode in a sturdy position, before forcibly inserting a cone-shaped utensil with a tube at the apex for conducting liquid or other substance through a small opening into my oral cavity. Before aggressively pouring the aforementioned excess amounts of finely cut cabbage plants seasoned and flavored with sodium chloride and fermented until sour through the tube of the aforementioned cone-shaped utensil against my will exclusively with no other dietary options provided. This continued for a grand total of 317 months and 364 days until my manhood, only ceasing once I had reached the age of 26 years and 6 months. It was on this same day I came of age that I made a solemn personal vow that at some point in the future, I would permanently depart from the lowest level of my parental figure's residence and relocate to a figurative land of prosperity and freedom located a great distance from where I was currently trapped. A place in which the great ball of fire that provided light and solar energy to the planet third closest to it known as Earth shone its heavenly glow at ceaseless 24-hour intervals and the mixture of nitrogen, oxygen, and minute amounts of other gases surrounding the Earth and forming its atmosphere had the nasal sensation akin to that of a carbonated beverage flavored with syrup made from the extracted juices of roots, barks, and herbs that have been fermented with sugar and yeast. And the absorbent cloths used for sanitary and hygienic purposes have a strong texture of soft, soothing downy cotton. a place in which the local members of the ancient Arabic order of nobles of the mystic shrine and the chronically sickly masses carrying a somewhat contagious disease caused by Mycobacterium leprae, affecting the peripheral nervous system, skin, and nasal mucosa and variously characterized by ulcerations, tubercular nodules, and loss of sensation that sometimes leads to traumatic amputation of the anesthetized part. Both performed delightful music on a stringed instrument typically associated with the Hawaiians for non-stop intervals of 24 hours, and any average person you would encounter on the streets of this proverbial wonderland would gleefully and enthusiastically scrape all the excess follicles growing on the back end of your torso for the meager transaction of 5 American cents. Wacka wacka doo doo yeah. But let me convey to you, dear viewer listening to my tale, it was not long after the events previously discussed that my deepest lifelong hope and desire would finally be fulfilled, as a mere 24 hours later, a local establishment transmitting music and other forms of audio entertainment wirelessly through auditory speakers hosted a friendly competition, inquiring which among us could correctly identify the quantity of compounds consisting of one or more like atoms located on the gluteus maximus of acclaimed American actor Leonard Nimoy, well known for his role of Mr. Spock on the 1960s sci-fi television program Star Trek, who lived from the 26th of March, 1931 to the 27th of February, 2015. Although I had miscalculated the correct count by 3 compounds, my assumption was nevertheless the closest to the actual number, and the local transmitter justly rewarded me with the grand prize of the competition. Indeed, you are correct. My reward was a slip of paper providing written documentation to allow me to travel to a destination that would not return to its origin of departure in the highest luxury seating class. To the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020, Albuquerque. The most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020, Albuquerque. Indubitably. For your information, I had never embarked onto real-life commercial airliner biplane for the entirety of my life prior to this event, and I must convey, the experience was quite exhilarating and personally satisfying. With the notable exception of my misfortune to being assigned a seat in between 2 females hailing from the Balkan southeastern European country of Albania, who had rather large and imposing frames and absolutely horrific excesses of dour fragrances that were extremely displeasing to the nasal senses. In addition, the small child assigned to the seat directly behind my own was continuously ejecting the contents of his stomach for the entire duration of the flight. The stewardesses assigned to wait on the passengers depleted their quantity of aluminum canisters containing PepsiCo's carbonated soft drink referred to as Dr. Pepper, as well as the small plastic baggages of edible legume seeds flavored with sodium chloride, and the cinematic entertainment being broadcast during the flight was the 1996 critical and commercial flop Biodome starring actor and comedian Paul Montgomery Shaw, better known by his stage name of Paulie Shaw. And lest I forget, 3 of the thermal energy machines powering the biplane and keeping it afloat burned out from overuse and ceased functioning. The aircraft spiraled helplessly downward through the atmosphere, rotating in numerous 360-degree spins that caused intense motion sickness before making a hard, sudden impact into the slope of a natural elevation of the Earth's surface that was smaller than a mountain but still significantly larger than a commercial airliner, causing the vessel to spontaneously and violently combust in a giant swelling orb of noxious flame and smoke, causing the vital functions of the entirety of the passengers and flight crew aboard the vehicle to permanently cease functioning. With the sole exception being that of myself. Would you care to know how I achieved this miraculous feat? It was due to my having the retractable flat surface meant for eating and placing objects connected to the seat in front of me folded back into the upward position, as well as having my reclinable seat completely reset to the default vertical position. My having the retractable flat surface meant for eating and placing objects connected to the seat in front of me folded back into the upward position, as well as having my reclinable seat completely reset to the default vertical position. My having the retractable flat surface meant for eating and placing objects connected to the seat in front of me folded back into the upward position, as well as having my reclinable seat completely reset to the default vertical position. Ha ha ha. Oh yes indeed. Henceforth, I proceeded to move in a prone position with the body resting on or close to the ground out of the flaming rubble and remains of both the hills and aircraft. I moved in a prone position with the body resting on or close to the ground through the use of my terminal, prehensile upper limbs consisting of the wrist, metacarpal area, fingers, and thumb, as well as the joint of the leg that allows for movement between the femur and tibia and is protected by the patella for a consecutive period of 72 hours. Accompanying my journey, I had in my possession my large container of luggage used for the carrying and storage of clothing while traveling made from the tanned and skinned hide of a bovine, alongside my travel bag made of pliable, durable material with a handle and a zipper closure, designed to hang straight or fold double and used to carry suits, dresses, coats, or the like without crushing or inkling. As well as my brass wind instrument in the shape of a conical tube with keys and valves with a reed mouthpiece, designed to musically complement the adult male voice intermediate between the bass and the alto or countertenor, coupled with the large plastic sphere weighing in at 12 pounds, or 192 ounces, used to hit pins in the sport of bowling. And last but certainly not least, my prized possession that I have come to associate with good fortune and positive vibes, a plastic tube through which I can breathe while engaged in the activity of being submerged underwater that illuminates in the presence of darkness, inscribed with the signature of famed Newgrounds Adobe Flash animator Ryan Kurzak, better known by the online alias of Arwapin. Eventually, at long last, I had reached my desired destination, that of the globally renowned holiday and lodging establishment in the aforementioned great city of Albuquerque, New Mexico, located at 5050 Jefferson Street, Northeast Albuquerque, New Mexico, postal code 87109 in the United States, wherein the absorbent cloths used for sanitary and hygienic purposes have a strong texture of soft, soothing downy cotton. And thou have the option to consume your meal of simmering liquid broth directly out of a receptacle for the ashes from tobacco products if thou so desire. Fret not, for they are fully sanitized. And thus, I immediately booked a room for staying the aforementioned lodging establishment and would eventually enter the domain in question, followed by my adjusting the included air conditioning to the maximum level, and eventually powered on the SpectraVision television with on-demand films and video games. And I very nearly topped off this action by devouring the complimentary candy made from the cocoa seeds and aromatic herb of the genus Mentha that had been placed on the bag of cloth filled with feathers, down, or other soft material, and is used to cushion the head during sleep or rest that I have an extreme fondness for, only to be jarringly interrupted by the sound of a human fist making repeated contact with the hardwood door separating the room from the hotel lobby. What person could possibly be present behind the door? I am greatly inquiring as to what person is currently in my presence behind the door. There is no response. I am once again greatly inquiring as to what person is currently in my presence behind the door. There continues to be no response. I am once again greatly inquiring as to what person is currently in my presence behind the door. Angrier this time. The person is not giving any sort of verbal response whatsoever. After much impatience, I at last approached the door and turned the brass knob to activate the tumblers and swing the door into the ajar position. And, as I had believed to be the case, it is in fact a large framed overweight fellow with both male and female genitalia referred to with various derogatory slurs with their blunt colored head follicles fashioned after the frontman of the British new wave synth pop group A Flock of Seagulls, Michael Gordon Score, who had but one external opening on the part of the face that contains the sense of smell and functions as the usual passageway for air in respiration, as opposed to the expected two. I greatly despise when my assumptions turn out to be correct. Continuing my story, he forcibly and uninvitedly entered my hotel room in dramatic fashion and proceeded to apprehend my aforementioned plastic tube through which I can breathe while engaged in the activity of being submerged underwater that I associate with good fortune. I responded to his actions thusly: "Sir, you cannot legally continue with these actions that are causing me great distress. My long and storied relationship with the plastic tube through which I can breathe while engaged in the activity of being submerged underwater has not been unlike that of a plastic tube through which I can breathe while engaged in the activity of being submerged underwater." He responded, "That's quite unfortunate for you, but I am not sympathetic." I snapped back, "Please return the object to my rightful ownership at once." He scoffed, "You will have to forcibly badger me into performing said action as I have no intention of actually fulfilling your request and returning the item to your rightful ownership." I declared, "Very well." I forcibly gripped his bipedal limb that supports and moves the body in my palms, followed by the ruffian forcibly gripping my muscular passage connecting the mouth or pharynx with the stomach in his own palms, to which I used my hard bodies attached to my jaw, typically serving for the prehension and mastication of food, to forcibly grip, pull, and then fully and gorally remove his organ of hearing and equilibrium consisting of an external ear that gathers sound vibrations, a middle ear in which the vibrations resonate against the tympanic membrane, and a fluid-filled internal ear that maintains balance and that conducts the tympanic vibrations to the auditory nerve, which transmits them as impulses to the brain. After which he forcibly masticated on the fringe of hair growing on the arch or edge forming the upper part of the orbit of my eye until it had been reduced to nothing, to which I responded by penetrating his skin with the sheer force of my bare hands and forcibly gripped and tore off his narrow, blind tube protruding from the cecum known as the vermiform appendix. And he retaliated by forcibly subjecting me to the alternative medicinal practice of flushing out my colon with warm water, most indubitably. Thou art best have confidence that what I am relating to you is the absolute truth. And yet somehow, inexplicably, at the midway point of our violent bout, the corded device connected to an apparatus, system, or process for transmission of sound or speech to a distant point was jostled from the connecting corded hook. After a tense moment of silence lasting for 20 seconds, I heard the comforting, familiar auditory sensation of an automated female voice. What did this voice relate to me? I shall relate to you what this voice relayed to me. The voice relayed to me, "If thou would most desire to place a communication, I implore you to return the device to its original holding connector and attempt the process again. If thou require assistance in this process, return the device to its original holding connector before removing it once again and inputting the 0 key to contact a local assistance operator. If thou would most desire to place a communication, I implore you to return the device to its original holding connector and attempt the process again. If thou require assistance in this process, return the device to its original holding connector before removing it once again and inputting the 0 key to contact a local assistance operator." Within the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States. Founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque. The most populous city in New Mexico, the United States. Founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque. In the interest of truncating this long and arduous tale, the intersexual hooligan successfully absconded with a plastic tube through which I can breathe while engaged in the activity of being submerged underwater that was of my rightful ownership. However, I proceeded to declare a grave, sober, mirthless personal oath that I would abstain from any and all relaxation and refreshment, nor would I take the rest afforded by a suspension of voluntary bodily functions in the natural suspension. complete or partial, of consciousness for a single solitary microsecond of time until the male identifying non-binary crook possessing only a singular external opening on the part of the face that contains the sense of smell and functions as the usual passageway for air in respiration, was apprehended and legally sentenced by the proper authorities. However, prior to embarking on this epic quest, I decided it was in my best interest to purchase a large assortment of deep-fried sweet and dough in the shape of rings. Thusly, I entered my personal automobile and embarked for the establishment selling the aforementioned deep-fried sweet and dough in the shape of rings, and upon entering the establishment, I used my bipedal appendages to approach the employee manning the cash register from behind the table where transactions are made, and he greets me with a chipper "Salutations, sir. What goods or services may I reluctantly provide you with at this moment?" I inquired to the man. "Are you currently providing for sale deep-fried sweet and dough in the shape of rings coated in sugar and sugar syrup?" The salesman replied, "I terribly apologize, sir, but we have currently depleted our stock of deep-fried sweet and dough in the shape of rings coated in sugar and sugar syrup." I reply, "Very well. Perhaps alternatively, are you currently providing for sale deep-fried sweet and balls of dough internally filled with soft, elastic gelatin and juices of fruits, typically cherries, grapes, or strawberries, usually topped with vanilla frosting or powdered sugar?" The purveyor said to me, again, "Sir, I regret to inform you that we have currently depleted our stock of deep-fried sweet and balls of dough internally filled with soft, elastic gelatin and juices of fruits, typically cherries, grapes, or strawberries, usually topped with vanilla frosting or powdered sugar." I inquired, "Is it perhaps possible that you are currently providing for sale deep-fried balls of dough internally filled with a soft-scented confection of fondant originating from the Free State of Bavaria in southeast Germany?" The employee exasperatedly answered, again, "I greatly apologize, but we have likewise depleted our stock of deep-fried balls of dough internally filled with a soft-scented confection of fondant originating from the Free State of Bavaria in southeast Germany." I suggested, "Well, perhaps then you are currently providing for sale sweet rolls coated in spice obtained from the inner bark of the cinnamon tree?" The anguished male responded, yet again, "I am sorry to inform you that we have currently depleted our stock of sweet rolls coated in spice obtained from the inner bark of the cinnamon tree." I begged, "Surely then you must have in your inventory battered pastries with slices of round edible fruit from the apple tree folded into said batter and then fried in vegetable oil?" The man cried, "I once again must tragically inform you that we have depleted our entire inventory of battered pastries with slices of round, edible fruit from the apple tree folded into said batter and then fried in vegetable oil." I replied, "Please then, sir, surely you must have an inventory of sweet yeast-raised Danish pastries filled with almond paste, named for the sharp-pointed appendages of great American black bears." The man said to me, "Please pause for roughly 60 seconds. I will have to inspect the back kitchen to confirm if we currently possess any of the aforementioned pastries." My dearest apologies, sir, but we have depleted our entire stock of sweet yeast-raised Danish pastries filled with almond paste, named for the sharp-pointed appendages of great American black bears. I pondered out loud. If these are in fact the circumstances. Indeed, what items does your restaurant currently have in its inventory? He answered, "The only item I can currently offer to you is a cubical cardboard package containing 12 malnourished, mentally disturbed and violent mammalian carnivores of the genus Mustela, of the family Mustelidae." I answered, "Very well then, I shall accept the offered product." As such, he exchanges the cubical cardboard package into my possession and I open the hinged flaps concealing the top, followed by the aforementioned mammalian carnivores of the genus Mustela of the family Mustelidae, leaping outwards and instantaneously forcibly gripping onto my facial regions and begin using their hard bodies attached to the jaw to masticate on every square inch of my facial epidermis. Om nom 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 nom. Oh my, they were simply holding nothing back and going whole hog at causing pain to my face. They were literally and figuratively violently ripping my entire person into shreds. If I recall correctly, it was at that very moment in time that the lyrics to a short, simple piece of musical poetry wormed its way into my brain and permeated my imagined auditory senses. I am fairly certain the lyrics were similar to what I am about to relay. Oh dear God, please remove these carnivorous mammals from my face, remove them from my face, the pain is unbearable, remove them at once, remove them from my person, remove them from my person. I rapidly made haste onto the nearby public thoroughfare paved with gravel and tar while the mustelids who were currently subsisting on the muscular fatty tissue covering my visage were simultaneously refusing to relinquish their grip on my skull. As I performed this action, the upper appendages linking my elbows and hands flailed all about in a wild panic manner, rapidly and quickly using my feet to propel myself in a manner most reminiscent of that of a member of the domesticated species Canis familiaris of the dachshund breed, well known for its long torso akin to that of a pork or sausage wiener, currently suffering from a condition of the bowels in which the feces are dry and hardened and evacuation is difficult and infrequent. It was at this exact moment in time that I inadvertently crossed paths with a female Homo sapien whom I had previously believed to have only existed in that of my cognitive unconscious fantasies. This aforementioned member of the fairer sex was referred to by the moniker of Zelda. She possessed a passionate and enthusiastic interest in the penmanship of lines either derived from or resembling letter forms and characterized by qualities usually associated with cursive writing, especially that produced with a brush or pen, particularly of Chinese, Japanese, or Arabic origin, in addition to possessing an occlusion in which the upper incisor teeth overlap the lower ones and had follicles of a similar pigment to that of the subacid, juicy, drupaceous fruit of a tree, Prunus persica, of the rose family, after being put through a strainer. I shall always remember her introductory sentence exchanged to myself upon our first meeting. She regaled to me, "Excuse me, kind sir, but I do believe you currently have a large assortment of mammalian carnivores of the genus Mustela, of the family Mustelidae, currently attached to your visage." It was at this point that I knew our affections were stronger than any human emotion and powerful enough to last a lifetime. From that point onward, the two of us were incapable of being separated, parted, or disjoint. We engaged in the consumption of edibles within each other's company, in addition to immersing our entire bodies in water contained within a large basin for the purpose of cleansing the body of grime and sin within each other's company. And in addition we also allotted the simultaneous use of the exact same soft strong waxed thread made of nylon for drawing between the teeth to remove food particles and prevent the buildup of plaque, flavored with a distinctive taste of any aromatic herb of the genus Mentha, having opposite leaves and small, whorled flowers, as the spearmint and peppermint. The planet on which we resided was metaphorically comparable to that of a tortilla folded over a filling, as of ground beef, grated cheese, or refried beans for us to devour. Thusly, we eloped, becoming legally joined in holy matrimony, later purchasing a residential building to reside in and later fornicated, and afterwards conceived two wonderful children of divine quality whom we had christened with the respective monikers of Nathaniel Alfred Yankovic and Superfly Gordon Yankovic. This familial unit had given us great feelings of joy and satisfaction, indubitably. However, it was on a summer's eve of momentous significance and consequences that my beloved wife Zelda, whom I had spent the better part of life madly in love with, would ask me an important question that would permanently alter the course of our marriage. My dearest husband, whom I compare the sweetness of to that of a large, edible, orange-yellow fruit borne by a coarse, decumbent vine, Cucurbita pepo, of the gourd family, I am inquiring if you would be interested in applying for a membership with the mail order service the Columbia Record Club, which will allow us to receive tapes, compact discs, and records of our favorite musical recording artists licensed by the Columbia Records firm at a substantial discount compared to purchasing at mainstream retailers. I only ask because membership in this social club will require us to commit to buying more albums in the future at standard rates, and such a long-term commitment would require consent from both parties. I cried, "Goodness gracious woman. Please calm down and cease these harsh statements at once. I am simply unprepared to deal with such a heavy obligation for the rest of my natural life." As such, we immediately filed for divorce and went our separate ways, never again to meet for the rest of our lives. But such is how the trials and tribulations unfold. Within the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020, Albuquerque, the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020, Albuquerque. Moving on from this tangent, my life at long last started to take on an upswing and improve, as a mere 7 days afterwards, I at long last achieved my life's most desirable goal that I had spent the entirety of my pitiful existence pursuing. Correct. I gained employment at the restaurant chain Sizzler, headquartered in Mission Viejo, California, for half of the standard 40-hour work week. Even better, I was awarded the prestigious title of Employee of the Month, typically given to workers who show great initiative, in this case by dousing a combustion of fuel and fatty lubricant that was ignited and combined with oxygen, giving off light, heat, and flame, using only the front part of my head, from the forehead to the chin. Yes indeed, the other employees at the establishment had become greatly envious of my achievements. I was on the receiving end of some rather harsh criticism and moodiness. I recall in one instance, during which I was sitting out in the area divided into individual spaces, intended for parking motor vehicles, attempting to dispose of the excessive amounts of non-glycerine residue that had been accumulating in my organ of hearing and equilibrium invertebrates, consisting of an external ear that gathers sound vibrations, a middle ear in which the vibrations resonate against the tympanic membrane, and a fluid-filled internal ear that maintains balance and that conducts the tympanic vibrations to the auditory nerve, which transmits them as impulses to the brain through the use of a graphite-based tubular writing utensil used for keeping score in the sport of golf. When it had come to my attention that a fellow by the name of Martin was having great difficulty attempting to manually ascend a long, upholstered couch with a back and two arms or raised ends upwards a flight of steps leading from one story or level to another without the aid of additional persons, I beckoned to Martin. "Excuse me, my good man, but do you require assistance with your current activity?" Martin, in great annoyance, simply revolved the expanding and contracting openings in the irises of the eyes, through which light passes to the retina, in a clockwise fashion, declaring, "Nay, I do not wish to be assisted in this current endeavor. In fact, it would be more preferable if you were to gorily dismember my upper limbs, especially the part extending from the shoulder to the wrist, as well as my lower limbs from the knee to the ankle, by using a portable handheld electric power saw with teeth set on an endless chain." I gleefully fulfilled my dear friend's request. Then, for no good reason, he proceeds to show me a complete lack of gratitude, expressing strong displeasure as though I had committed something considered unjust, offensive, or insulting. He mewed, "Goodness gracious, my male homo sapien, I was merely using harsh, cutting, or bitter derision, often using irony to point out the deficiencies or failings of someone or something, that was not meant to be taken literally." Well, that's simply divine, by which of course I mean not divine at all. How on earth was I expected to understand the true nature of his statement? I do not have the ability to telepathically read the thoughts internally emitted by the part of the central nervous system enclosed in the cranium of humans and other vertebrates, consisting of a soft, convoluted mass of gray and white matter and serving to control and coordinate the mental and physical actions, if I may express my exasperation. And dismissing all that, he has since been christened the adorable friendly moniker of male homo sapien, consisting solely of the trunk of the human body, so I fail to understand what reason he has to express dissatisfaction with this turn of events. While we're on the subject, I cannot help but recall a similar account of a particularly humorous incident that occurred in the past. A male Homo sapien approaches me on a public thoroughfare paved in the city, relating to me that he had been completely unable to secure a cut, wound, or tear with the teeth. Whilst I understood the idiom and the true meaning of his statement, to inject a bit of levity into the situation, I proceeded to make a literal, actual cut, wound, or tear with my own teeth in order to gorily dismember his external jugular vein collecting blood from the superficial parts of the head or one internal jugular vein collecting blood from within the skull. At which point he proceeded to loudly cry out in pain with a strong, clear shout whilst spilling blood from his vascular system through the break in his skin. To which I replied, "Come now my good sir, do you not understand the joke?" But instead he continued to violently contort and spasm on the cement paved walkway at the side of the street, blood pooling all around him as he screeched in agony. You understand what I'm saying? He simply failed to grasp the deliberate and clever use of words to convey a meaning that is the opposite of its literal meaning. I dare say, certain individuals are simply incapable of handling a small bit of dark humor. Now, as I was saying, let me see. At what point of the story did I leave off? It appears I have mentally blanked on the state of my thoughts and forgotten what I had been proclaiming. Oh well, anyway, I suppose while it may be a circuitous or indirect method of explaining this, but the primary central idea of this tale that I have been attempting to ingrain upon you, the viewer, is the simple fact that I violently despise the dish consisting of finely cut cabbage plants seasoned and flavored with sodium chloride and fermented until sour. That is the central theme I have been attempting to communicate this entire time. But before we part, if one day you find yourself awakening from your slumber and end up mentally trapped in a perplexed, unwell state of philosophical existentialism, concerned with the nature of human existence as determined by the individual's freely made choices, horribly restrained with an intense aversion and deep lack of confidence in the reliability of one's own motives, personality, and thought, please take with your feelings a minute amount of relief and soothing reassurance with the knowledge that at some location within this deeply disturbed and progressively more horrendous and intolerable totality of known or supposed objects and phenomena throughout space and time that we currently reside in, there still exists a small location. I am of course referring to the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque, the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque, the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque, the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque, the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque, the most populous city in New Mexico, the United States, founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque, The most populous city in New Mexico, the United States. Founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque.
The most populous city in New Mexico, the United States. Founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque.
The most populous city in New Mexico, the United States. Founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque.
The most populous city in New Mexico, the United States. Founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque.
The first letter of the basic modern Latin alphabet that represents the open back unrounded vowel.
The first letter of the basic modern Latin alphabet that represents the open back unrounded vowel.
The 12th letter of the basic modern Latin alphabet that represents the palatal lateral approximant.
The 12th letter of the basic modern Latin alphabet that represents the palatal lateral approximant.
The second letter of the basic modern Latin alphabet that represents the voiced bilabial fricative.
The second letter of the basic modern Latin alphabet that represents the voiced bilabial fricative.
The 21st letter of the basic modern Latin alphabet that represents the near close back rounded vowel.
The 21st letter of the basic modern Latin alphabet that represents the near close back rounded vowel.
Kirky.
Kirky.
The most populous city in New Mexico, the United States. Founded in 1706 and located between the Sandia Mountains and the Rio Grande at 35 degrees 5 minutes 4 seconds north latitude, 106 degrees 39 minutes 1 second west longitude, with a population of roughly 564,559 as of the year 2020. Albuquerque.